It all started around 18 months ago, which right now feels like a whole entire lifetime ago. I first encountered him, or at least I think I first encountered him at the diner where I used to work. I was a waitress, the kind who smiles at everyone, even the weirdos. And while he was one of those quiet types, tall, thin, with greasy black hair that hung over his eyes, all mumbles and no eye contact. At least at first, anyway. I remember he wore a gray hoodie most days, stained at the sleeves like he hadn't washed it in quite a while, and then he'd sit in the corner booth for hours on end, just kind of nursing some black coffee, but it was only ever a black coffee. And I didn't think much of him at first. People come and people go, but this particular guy just sort of kept staring at me. Not in a flirty sort of notice me way either. His eyes were cold, like he was studying me or maybe even sizing me up. Then came the night that I caught him watching me through the window as I locked up, and I told myself that it was nothing, just some weirdo lonely guy who thought that I was pretty and hadn't been taught that it was rude to stare. But it wasn't long before things started to get really creepy. About a week later, I found a note slipped under my front door. It was sort of scrawled on a torn piece of notebook paper, and it said, "You look pretty in blue today." My work uniform wasn't blue, not at all, but what had actually been blue were the underwear that I'd been wearing that day. And in that moment, my stomach dropped. I lived alone. No one was supposed to know what I was wearing underneath, and my uniform didn't show anything off either. I checked the locks, the windows, and everything seemed fine. I threw the note away and told myself that it was nothing, maybe a prank, possibly by some local kids, I guess. And I tried to reassure myself with stuff like that, but it didn't work, and I started sleeping with a kitchen knife under my pillow. And things got way, way worse over the weeks that followed. I started seeing the guy everywhere. Not up close, just glimpses here and there at a distance. A shadow across the street when I walked home. A figure standing under the streetlight outside my house at night, but I really never knew. I didn't always see his face, but it really felt like it was him. Once, I swore that I saw him in the grocery store 2 aisles over peeking through the cereal boxes, and I turned to look, and he was already gone. I knew that I was probably being paranoid and that I was imagining things. Overworked, overstressed, no sleep, all that kind of stuff. But the notes kept coming. And it would say stuff like, "I like your hair down. You shouldn't leave your curtains open." And, "I'm closer than you think." Each note, in this childlike handwriting of his, it made my skin crawl a little more each time I got one. And on the advice of a friend, I stopped throwing them away, and instead kept them in a shoebox as proof that something was very, very wrong. I prayed things would get better, that he'd get bored of me, but the situation got even worse as time went by. I'd hear footsteps behind me on my way home from work, but when I turned, no one was there. My trash cans started getting knocked over, and once I found a dead bird on my porch. Its little neck had been snapped and its feathers were all over the steps where somebody had apparently been ripping them out. And the notes get even creepier too. "I can hear you breathing at night," or "You can't hide from me." And I almost stopped sleeping altogether. I'd sit up with the lights on, just clutching my knife, waiting for something to happen, and I knew that he was out there, watching and getting closer, and it was only a matter of time before he made his move on me. But in the end, I couldn't take it anymore and told my neighbor, Tom, about it. Now, he's an older guy, Tom. Pretty sure he's in his 50s, with a very kind face, big belly, and a loud laugh, and he lived across the street from me, and we'd always wave to each other. One afternoon, I knocked on his door, pretty much shaking at that point, and just spilled my guts about everything that had been happening. The notes, the footprints, that sickening feeling of being hunted. And I told him how scared I was, that the whole thing seemed to be getting worse and worse with each passing day, and that I was scared that the guy stalking me was going to actually end up hurting me. I remember him frowning, putting a hand on my shoulder, and told me that I wasn't alone. "You see anything weird? You call me, okay?" he told me. "Day or night, I'll come running." I nodded, grateful for the offer of help that I don't think I can even put into words. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I actually had someone on my side. But the stalking didn't stop, and the notes slowly turned into what I perceived to be threats. "I'll cut your pretty throat. No one can save you. I'm coming for you soon," it would say. I stopped going outside unless I had to, and I checked the locks 10 times a night sometimes. And then one night, he made everything fall apart. I was in my kitchen, making tea to calm my nerves when I saw him. A figure walking up my driveway. Tall, thin, moving very slowly like he didn't care if I actually saw him. And that was like his signature, I guess, how I'd always know that it was him. My heart stopped in my chest. This was it. He was actually here to kill me. Obviously, I finally ran to the phone and dialed 911. I told them that someone's trying to break into my house. My voice was shaky, and I tried to whisper, "Please hurry." The operator told me to stay calm and told me that help was on the way. But all the same, I grabbed my cell phone and called Tom.